P. Whispers Beneath the Paris Sky. Chapter 1. A City That Never Forgets. Paris, 1903. The city did not wake suddenly. It unfolded slowly, like an old letter being opened with careful hands. Morning mist hovered over the Seine, softening the edges of stone bridges and tall buildings. The air smelled of damp earth, ink, coffee, and coal smoke. Church bells echoed somewhere far away, reminding the living that time never stopped, no matter how heavy the heart. Élise Moreau stood at the narrow window of her apartment in Montmartre, fingers resting against the cold glass. Below her, Paris moved forward, unaware of her quiet existence. Her life had learned restraint early. Her father had died when she was 14. Her mother's health followed soon after. Dreams of education, travel, or romance were gently, but firmly, pushed aside. Survival became her language. Yet sometimes, in moments like this, she wondered what it would feel like to be chosen by something other than responsibility. Chapter 2. Threads of a Silent Life. Elise's days followed a rhythm as precise as stitching. She woke before sunrise, prepared tea for her mother, walked to the atelier where she worked long hours, bending over fabric that belonged to women far wealthier than she would ever be. She listened more than she spoke, observed more than she acted. The world seemed to happen around her, not to her. And still, she stitched beauty into existence with her hands. Chapter 3. A Man Running from Himself. Julien Laurent arrived in Paris carrying exhaustion disguised as ambition. At 28, he had already lived several lives: son, student, journalist, mourner. His father's sudden death had carved something hollow inside him, something that success could not fill. He believed Paris might drown out the echo. He rented a small room near Montmartre. The walls were thin, the bed uncomfortable, but the view of the city felt like an open invitation. Julien filled notebooks with observations: lovers arguing, children running, old men watching. He was searching for meaning. He didn't know yet that meaning would not come from words, but from a woman who barely spoke them. Chapter 4. Rain writes its own story. Their collision was unremarkable to the street. Just another moment lost beneath rain and umbrellas. But for Élise, it felt like the world tilted. Fabric slipped from her arms. A lifetime of caution slipped with it. Julien knelt instantly, apologizing, gathering lace as if it were fragile history. "You made this," he said, more statement than question. "Yes," she answered. He looked at her, not through her, not past her, but at her. That was new. Chapter 5. Two strangers, one table. The cafe was warm, smelling of coffee and wet wool. Élise wrapped her hands around the cup, nervous. Julien spoke gently, never interrupting. He did not ask too much. He listened. For Élise, being listened to felt dangerously close to being loved. Chapter 6. Paris between them. They began walking together, not as lovers, not even as friends. Something undefined and careful. Paris became a shared language. The river at dusk, the sound of heels on stone, streetlights flickering like fragile stars. Julien noticed how Élise paused before crossing streets. Élise noticed how Julien flinched at sudden loud sounds. They learned each other silently. Chapter 7. Love Without a Name. Julien wrote differently now. His sentences softened, His metaphors grew warmer. Élise smiled more easily. Her shoulders relaxed. Neither dared name what was happening. Naming things made them real. And reality was dangerous. Chapter 8. The Illness That Returns. Elise's mother worsened. Coughing turned into blood. Nights turned into fear. Julien sat quietly by their table one evening, realizing how small Elise's world truly was, and how fiercely she guarded it. He wanted to help, but love offered without power often feels like cruelty. Chapter 9. An Impossible Opportunity. The letter from New York arrived folded neatly. A position, prestige, a future. Julien read it 3 times. Each time, Elise's face appeared between the lines. Chapter 10. Confession Under Gaslight. The night air trembled. Julien spoke first. Élise listened. And when he said, "I love you," it felt like surrender. They stood close, not touching. Some distances hurt more than separation. Chapter 11. The train leaves. Paris watched as Julien left. Élise did not cry. She folded her pain like fabric, carefully, neatly, until she could not feel it anymore. Chapter 12. Becoming Someone Else. Years shaped her. Grief hardened into strength. Loss into wisdom. Élise opened her own shop. Paris began to know her name. But at night, she still listened for footsteps that never came. Chapter 13. Silence Across an Ocean. Julien's letters slowed, then stopped. The war erased certainty. Élise learned how to exist without hope. Chapter 14. War Takes Everything. Paris darkened. Young men vanished. Dreams shrank. Élise volunteered, worked, endured. Love became memory. Chapter 15. A Face from the Past. The war ended. Paris breathed again. And there, by the river, stood a ghost who refused to stay dead. Chapter 16. Truth Hurts Before It Heals. Julien spoke of injury, of silence, of survival. Élise spoke of loss. They cried, for the first time, together. Chapter 17. Choosing Again. Love, once broken, must be chosen. They chose. Slowly, carefully. Chapter 18. A Life Rebuilt. They married without spectacle. Built a life from what remained. It was real. Epilogue. What endures. Years later, Julien wrote his final piece. It was about Paris, but really, it was about Élise. Because some love stories are not written loudly. They are whispered, and they last.